It started with a discomfort in my big toe, like a dull little sting, coming and going. At first, I didn't pay much attention. I thought to myself, oh, I must have accidentally twisted it. It happens. I carried on with life, wearing my usual shoes, even feeling that irritating click, click with every step. I tried to ignore it, We always think our bodies can handle anything, that it's just a phase. But over time, the pain got stronger, more constant. It wasn't just in the toe anymore. It went up to my ankle, sent shooting pains to my knee. I started to limp to avoid climbing stairs. Still, I tried to hide it. I'd say it was just tiredness, that I must have slept awkwardly. I'd apply a hot compress, take a painkiller, and that was it. But then, one day, as I reached for a jar of jelly in the cabinet, the pain in my wrist was so intense that I dropped everything on the floor. The jar shattered, the jelly spilled, and there I stood, locked up, unable to move properly. That's when it hit me. It wasn't just tiredness. It wasn't just a phase. I needed to see a doctor. My name is Lauren. I am 59 years old. I used to lead a peaceful life, I worked as a teacher, loved gardening, went out with friends for coffee. Nothing extraordinary, just a pleasant and predictable routine. Until everything changed. That discomfort in my foot that I mentioned turned into a constant pain, into daily limitations, into a battle I didn't expect to have to face. I've decided to share my story because I don't want others to go through what I went through. Perhaps, if I had paid more attention to the initial signs, if I hadn't ignored the pain and sought medical help earlier, things might have been different. I feel like I made a serious mistake by neglecting my body, by thinking I was strong enough to overcome everything alone. I know many people do that. Push through, postpone the doctor's visit, take a self-prescribed medication, and hope the pain will go away. I understand. Life is busy. We have other priorities. But believe me, health is the number one priority. Without it, nothing else matters. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a specialist. I'm just an ordinary person who learned a tough lesson. But if my experience can alert someone, if it can encourage someone to seek medical help, to listen to their body, then it will have been worth it. I want to turn my pain into awareness, into prevention, into hope for others. At first, as I said, it was just a click-click on the big toe. Nothing major, right? I was busy, always running from one place to another. Classes, exams, school meetings, household chores. Being a teacher is crazy. So I thought, it must be stress. I need to relax a bit. I tried to justify the pain with the daily fatigue. It's just age catching up, Lauren. It's normal to feel some little pains here and there, I said to myself. Besides, I've always been a bit stubborn, I thought I could handle everything on my own. I didn't like to bother others with my problems. So, instead of seeing a doctor, I went straight to the pharmacy. I'd get any painkiller, like a paracetamol or an ibuprofen, and that was it. The pain would disappear for a few hours, and I could continue with my routine. But of course, it was just a temporary solution. A problem still lingered behind the effect of the medication. And to make matters worse, I never stopped. Even when the pain got worse, I insisted on doing everything. Taking care of the garden, going to the supermarket, visiting friends. I can't stop. I have so much to do, I repeated to myself. It was as if I were in a race against time, unaware that I was harming myself. Gardening, which had always been a pleasure, turned into a struggle. Trips to the supermarket became an ordeal. And visits to friends? Well, I ended up canceling almost all of them. Afraid I wouldn't be able to keep up. I remember once going to a wedding. I wore new, beautiful shoes that were a bit tight. In the middle of the party, the pain in my foot was unbearable. But I didn't want to ruin anyone's night, so I smiled, danced, chatted, and suffered in silence. When I got home, I could hardly walk, but the next day, there I was again, teaching as if nothing had happened. This routine of neglect and self-medication lasted for months, precious months that could have been used to diagnose and treat my rheumatoid arthritis. But at the time, I didn't know what was happening to me. I was so busy trying to juggle everything that I forgot to take care of myself, and I paid a high price for it. The climb was gradual but relentless. The pain that was once sporadic, a mere annoyance, turned into a constant companion. It began to radiate to other joints, ankles, knees, wrists, fingers. Every movement became a challenge, a battle against the pain. Waking up in the morning was torture, feeling my body stiff as if it was rusted. I needed time to straighten out, to be able to move minimally without screaming in pain. At work, the situation was unsustainable. Spending hours standing, writing on the board, grading papers became almost impossible. I needed to sit constantly, catching the attention of the students. I started to miss work frequently, citing tiredness or indisposition. The truth was that the pain was excruciating and prevented me from performing my tasks. I had to ask for medical leave, which caused me a lot of frustration. I loved teaching, felt I was making a difference in my students' lives, but my body no longer allowed me to do so. Relationships were also affected. I avoided going out with friends, afraid of not being able to keep up with them. Walks in the park, coffees in the city center, dinners at restaurants, all of it became a burden. I didn't want them to see me suffering. I didn't want to be a burden. I started to isolate myself, to shut myself in at home. I felt embarrassed about my condition, as if I were failing as a friend, as a person. Simple activities like opening a jar, buttoning a shirt, or combing my hair became a nightmare. The pain in my fingers was so intense that it prevented me from completing these basic tasks. I needed help for everything, which left me even more frustrated. I felt like I was losing my independence, my autonomy. The nights were torment. The pain prevented me from sleeping. I spent hours tossing and turning in bed, trying to find a comfortable position. When I finally managed to fall asleep, I would wake up several times during the night with my joints throbbing. Fatigue accumulated, and I felt increasingly exhausted, physically and mentally. There were moments of pure despair. I remember one night when the pain was so strong that I couldn't stop crying. I felt powerless, trapped in a body that no longer obeyed me. I thought my life was over, that I would never be happy again. These moments were terrible. I felt completely alone and helpless. I tried to hide the situation from people around me. I didn't want to worry them. I didn't want them to feel sorry for me. But mainly, I was afraid of being judged, afraid that they would see me as an old invalid, unable to do anything. So I smiled when in pain, disguised the difficulty in walking, made up excuses to not participate in activities. But inside, I was falling apart. Fear and shame consumed me, and I felt increasingly isolated. Rheumatoid arthritis was not only attacking my joints, it was corroding my soul. The breaking point, as I have already mentioned, was when the jar of jelly smashed on the floor. There, in that moment, the searing pain in my wrist and the sight of shards of glass mixed with sweet jelly marked the end of my stubbornness. I felt a wave of frustration and exhaustion that paralyzed me. I could no longer deny the seriousness of the situation. I needed help. I took a deep breath, cleaned up the mess, with a lot of difficulty, of course, and the next day scheduled an appointment with a general practitioner. The appointment was brief but attentive. I explained my symptoms, showed the areas of my body that hurt, and recounted my self-medication routine. The doctor examined me carefully, palpated my joints, and asked some questions about my family history. He was kind and understanding, which made me feel calmer. At the end of the appointment, he told me he suspected rheumatoid arthritis and referred me to a rheumatologist. Additionally, he requested a series of blood and imaging tests, such as X-rays and MRI scans. I left the office with a mix of relief and apprehension. Relief for finally seeking help, but apprehension for not knowing what the future held for me. The wait for the results was agonizing. Each day felt like an eternity. I kept researching about rheumatoid arthritis on the internet, reading about the symptoms, the treatments, and the possible complications. The more I read, the more scared I became. The disease seemed to be devastating, capable of turning a person's life into a real hell. I tried to stay optimistic, but fear was eating me up inside. Finally, the day came to return to the rheumatologist with the test results. I sat in the waiting room, nervous and apprehensive. My heart was pounding in my chest, and my hands were sweating. When the doctor called me in, I felt a lump in my throat. He carefully reviewed the tests and then looked me in the eyes and said, "Lauren, your tests confirm the suspicion. You have rheumatoid arthritis." The words echoed in my mind like thunder. I felt a shock, a sense of unreality. It was as if the world had collapsed on me. Rheumatoid arthritis, a chronic, autoimmune disease that attacks the joints and causes pain, inflammation, and deformity. A disease that has no cure, only treatment to control symptoms and slow progression. A disease that would change my life forever. At that moment, I couldn't hold back the tears. I felt lost, desperate. The fear of the unknown overwhelmed me. What would my life be like from then on? Could I continue working? Would I be able to take care of myself? Would I have to depend on others for everything? I left the doctor's office in a daze, not knowing where to go. I walked aimlessly through the streets, with a confused mind and a heavy heart. I felt alone, abandoned. I needed support, someone who would understand me and help me face this new reality. I needed answers to my doubts and questions. I needed hope. Treatment started shortly after, with a battery of medications: methotrexate, corticosteroids, painkillers, anti-inflammatories. A true chemical cocktail to try to control the inflammation and relieve the pain. At first, I felt some relief. The pain lessened a bit, and I managed to have some decent nights of sleep. But the joy was short-lived. Soon, the side effects started to appear. Nausea, vomiting, hair loss, mouth ulcers, extreme fatigue. I constantly felt nauseous and weak, as if I had a strong flu all the time. The hair loss was particularly tough. I always had beautiful and voluminous hair, and seeing it fall out in clumps made me desperate. I felt less feminine, less attractive. I started wearing scarves and hats to hide the baldness, but it was like I was hiding a part of myself. Fatigue was another serious problem. Even after a full night of sleep, I would wake up exhausted with no energy to do anything. Simple tasks like taking a shower or preparing a meal became a Herculean effort. Over time, I had to be hospitalized several times due to opportunistic infections caused by the low immunity from the medications. The hospitalizations were always traumatic. I felt isolated, far from my family and friends. The hospital food was horrible, and the nights were long and noisy. But the worst part was the feeling of helplessness, of being at the mercy of the disease. In addition to the medications, I also had to undergo some surgeries to correct deformities in my hands and feet. The surgeries were painful and required a long recovery period, but in the end, they were worth it, as they allowed me to regain some of my mobility and independence. There were moments of intense pain and suffering, days when the pain was so strong that I couldn't get out of bed, nights when I cried in despair, not knowing what to do. I felt like I was losing the battle against the disease, that my life was becoming an unbearable burden. The changes in my body were hard to accept. Deformed joints, dry skin, dark spots caused by corticosteroids. I felt like I was aging prematurely, losing my beauty and vitality. It was as if the disease was stealing my identity. Amidst so much pain and suffering, there were moments of deep discouragement. I even thought about giving up, about abandoning everything and surrendering to the disease. But thankfully, I was never completely alone. I had the unconditional support of my family, my friends, and my medical team. My family was my safe haven. My husband, my children, my grandchildren, they were always by my side, giving me strength and courage to move forward. They helped me with household chores, accompanied me to medical appointments, showed me love and attention. Knowing I could count on them gave me encouragement to face the toughest moments. My friends were a precious gift. Even with my limitations, they continued inviting me to go out, visiting me at home, calling to see how I was doing. They made me feel loved and important and helped me keep hope alive. The medical team was essential in my treatment. The doctors, nurses, physical therapists, and occupational therapists were caring and competent. They explained everything to me about the disease, guided me through the treatments, and helped me deal with the side effects of the medications. They provided me with the necessary support to face the illness with courage and determination. The support from family, friends, and the medical team was crucial for me to move forward. They helped me maintain hope, overcome moments of discouragement, and find new meaning in my life. Despite all the difficulties, I learned to live with rheumatoid arthritis and to live the best way possible. I discovered that life is a precious gift and that it is worth fighting for, even when the pain is intense and suffering seems unbearable. There is a common and understandable confusion between terminal illness and palliative care, and I fell into this trap myself at the beginning. I thought that receiving palliative care meant that death was imminent, that there was no hope left. Fortunately, I learned that this view is mistaken. Terminal illness refers to a condition where the disease has reached an irreversible point and life expectancy is very short, usually months or weeks. Palliative care, on the other hand, is a much broader approach aimed at improving the quality of life for patients and their families facing serious illnesses, regardless of the disease stage. They can be offered from diagnosis in conjunction with other treatments such as chemotherapy or surgery, and not just when a cure is no longer possible. Being in palliative care, for me, meant receiving comprehensive support to deal with the multiple challenges that rheumatoid arthritis imposed on my life. It was not just about pain control, although that was a crucial aspect. The palliative care team helped me manage the side effects of medications, cope with fatigue, address the anxiety and depression that arose as a consequence of the disease. They taught me relaxation techniques such as deep breathing and mindfulness, which helped calm my mind and reduce stress. I also received nutritional guidance to adapt my diet to my needs and minimize inflammation in the body. Palliative care provided me with a comfort that I didn't know was possible. The team was always available to listen to me, answer my questions, and provide emotional support. They helped me express my feelings, cope with the fear of disability, and accept the changes in my body. Through open and honest conversations, I was able to reframe my experience with the illness and find a new purpose for my life. In addition to conventional treatments, I also explored alternative therapies such as meditation, yoga, and acupuncture. Meditation helped me cultivate inner calm and reduce stress. I set aside a few minutes every day to meditate, focusing on my breathing and trying to clear my mind. At first, it was challenging, but with practice, I began to feel the benefits. Yoga helped me strengthen my muscles, improve flexibility, and relieve joint pain. I adapted the postures to my limitations and focused on stretching and relaxing the body. Acupuncture helped me balance the body's energy and reduce inflammation. The very fine needles applied to specific points on my body provided me with surprising pain relief. These alternative therapies did not replace conventional treatments, but complemented them effectively. They helped me cope with the symptoms of the disease in a more natural way and reduce the need for medications. Additionally, they provided me with a sense of well-being and control over my health. I learned that taking care of the body and mind is essential to face any illness, and that there are various tools available to help us on this journey. I embraced palliative care, not as a sentence, but as an opportunity to live with better quality despite the challenges. And, most importantly, I learned that hope does not need to be abandoned, even when a cure is not possible. Hope can lie in seeking relief, comfort, connection, and meaning, and it is this hope that keeps me strong and inspires me to move forward. And then, just when I thought I had found a balance, that I was learning to dance with rheumatoid arthritis, came the news that changed everything again. The relapse. That word echoed in my mind like thunder, bringing back the fear and uncertainty I had fought so hard to overcome. I felt as if I were back to square one, everything restarting, the pain, the fatigue, the limitations. The frustration was immense. After so much effort, so many medications, so many therapies, the disease was attacking again, stronger than ever. It was as if I were trapped in a vicious cycle with no end in sight. The new symptoms were different, more aggressive. The pain spread to other areas of the body, previously spared. Inflammations appeared in the eyes, difficulty breathing, extreme fatigue. The tests confirmed what I already feared. The disease was more active, more resistant to treatments. It was then that the diagnosis of metastasis came. That word, once distant, became my reality. The fear of death, which I tried to keep at bay, invaded my mind with full force. I began to question everything, the meaning of life, what good I had done, what I would leave behind. Acceptance of the new reality was a slow and painful process. I needed to allow myself to feel the sadness, the anger, the fear. I couldn't deny my emotions, but I also couldn't drown in them. I needed to find a balance, a way to live with the illness without letting it consume me. The search for psychological and spiritual support was fundamental in this process. Therapy helped me organize my thoughts, deal with fear and anxiety, find strength to move forward. Faith gave me hope, made me believe that there is something greater than me that supports and guides me. I learned to focus on the present, to value each day, each moment. I stopped worrying about the future, about what could happen. I began to live intensely in the now, to enjoy the little things, to celebrate achievements. I discovered that, even with the illness, I can still be happy. I can still love, smile, dream. I can still make a difference in people's lives. I can still be an inspiration to those facing similar challenges. Rheumatoid arthritis does not define me. It is just a part of my story, one of the many battles I have faced, but it is not the final battle. As long as I have strength, as long as I have hope, I will keep fighting. I will keep living. I will keep loving. And above all, I will keep sharing my story so that others know they are not alone. That it is possible to find the strength to overcome challenges. That it is possible to live with quality even with the disease. That life is a precious gift and it is worth fighting for it until the last breath. My journey continues with ups and downs, with pains and joys, but with the certainty that I am living intensely every moment and that I am making a difference in the world, and that, for me, is what really matters. I think the greatest lesson of all this was undoubtedly the importance of living in the present. Before, I lived too much in the future, planning, worrying about what could happen, about what people would think. I forgot to enjoy the now, to savor the simple moments of life. The disease forced me to slow down, to focus on what really matters. The pain taught me to value every pain-free moment, every movement without difficulty. I discovered that happiness is not in great achievements, material possessions, or the approval of others. It is in the little things, in the smile of a grandchild, in the embrace of a friend, in the bird song in the morning, in the aroma of fresh coffee, in the warmth of the sun on my face. I started paying more attention to these details, to appreciate them as if they were treasures. I rediscovered the pleasure of reading. Diving into a book transports me to other worlds, makes me forget the pain and worries. I love reading novels, biographies, history books. Reading teaches me, entertains me, inspires me. Gardening, which used to be an exhausting activity, has become a therapy. Taking care of plants connects me with nature, calms me, and revitalizes me. I enjoy feeling the soil in my hands, observing the flowers grow, and watering the plants with care. It's like I'm taking care of myself. Music has always been a passion in my life, but with the illness, it has become even more important. Listening to my favorite songs brings me joy, moves me, and gives me energy. I love listening to classical music, jazz, Brazilian popular music. Music transports me to other places, makes me dance, even if sitting down, makes me feel alive. Cooking has also become a pleasurable activity. Cooking for my family, for my friends, brings me joy. I enjoy trying new recipes, using fresh and healthy ingredients, creating delicious dishes. Cooking is a way to express my love and affection for the people I love. I value every encounter with my family, every conversation with my friends, every display of affection. I have learned to express my feelings more easily, to say I love you without fear, to ask for help when I need it. Relationships are what truly matter in life. They sustain us in difficult times. They bring us joy and meaning. Gratitude has become a daily practice. I am grateful for each day, for each opportunity, for each blessing. I am grateful for my family, for my friends, for my health, even with the illness, for my home, for my food, for my faith. Gratitude helps me maintain a positive attitude, see the good in things, and appreciate what I have. Illness has taught me to prioritize what really matters. I have set aside unnecessary worries, excessive demands, unrealistic expectations. I have learned to say no to what does not benefit me, to distance myself from toxic people, to devote myself to what brings me joy and peace. Life is a precious gift, and we cannot waste it on things that do not matter. We need to live each moment intensely, seize every opportunity, love deeply, forgive easily, be grateful always. We need to be happy, despite the challenges, despite the difficulties, despite the pain. We need to be ourselves, authentic and true. My story is just one among many others, but I hope it can inspire others to live their lives with more joy, gratitude, and purpose. Remember, life is too short to be wasted on things that do not matter. Live intensely, love deeply, and be happy. My perspective on life and death has changed drastically with the experience of illness. Before, I saw death as something distant, a future event that did not concern me. Life was a linear journey, with goals to achieve and objectives to fulfill. Illness confronted me with the fragility of existence, with the impermanence of all things. Suddenly, death became real, present, an imminent possibility. At first, I felt a paralyzing fear. I feared the unknown, the suffering, the separation from people I love. But over time, I learned to face death with more serenity, as a natural part of the cycle of life. I understood that I cannot control it, but I can choose how to live my last days. Life has become more precious, each moment more valuable. I have learned to appreciate the little things, to value relationships, to live in the present moment intensely. I have set aside unnecessary worries, excessive demands, unrealistic expectations. I have begun to focus on what really matters, loving, being happy, making a difference in people's lives. Disease has transformed me deeply. I have become stronger, more resilient, more compassionate. Pain has taught me empathy, to put myself in others' shoes, to offer support and understanding. Fragility has shown me the importance of humility, gratitude, and acceptance. I have learned to value my health, to take care of my body and mind. I have adopted healthy habits such as balanced nutrition, regular physical exercise, restful sleep. I have prioritized my well-being, my emotional balance, and my inner peace. The experience of illness has inspired me to make a difference in people's lives. I started working as a volunteer in hospitals and charity institutions, offering support to patients and families. I share my story in talks and events, aiming to raise awareness about the importance of prevention and early treatment of diseases. The legacy I want to leave is one of hope, resilience, and compassion. I want people to remember me as someone who fought bravely against illness, who never lost faith and always cared for others. I want to inspire others to take care of their health, to live fully, and to make a difference in the world. For those facing similar challenges, I want to leave a message of hope and encouragement. Don't give up. Don't lose faith. Don't be discouraged by pain. Seek support. Take care of your health. Appreciate the present moment. Remember that you are not alone. There are many people who care about you and are willing to help. Life is a precious gift, and it is worth fighting for it until the last breath. Illness may limit us, but it cannot define us. We can choose how to react to challenges. We can turn pain into learning. We can find a new meaning for our lives. Believe in yourselves. Trust your inner strength. Move forward with courage and determination. Life is a journey, and each of us has the power to write our own story. Write a story of love, of hope, of resilience, and of overcoming. Live intensely, love deeply, and be happy. Remember, you are stronger than you think and capable of overcoming any obstacle. Believe. If I could go back in time, I would change only one thing. I would listen to my body. I would pay attention to the signs, to the small discomforts, to passing pains. I would not neglect my health. I would not postpone the medical appointment. I learned the hard way that prevention is essential, that early diagnosis can make all the difference. Don't wait for the pain to become unbearable, for limitations to set in, for illness to progress. Seek medical help. Have routine exams. Take care of yourselves. My final advice, based on my personal experience, is face illness with courage, faith, and hope. Do not be defeated by fear, by sadness, by despair. Seek support from family, friends, faith. Find a purpose, something that brings you joy and meaning. Cultivate gratitude. Value the present. Live intensely every moment. Life is a precious gift, and it is worth fighting for it until the last breath. Believe in the strength of life, in the ability of human beings to overcome, in the importance of valuing each moment. Love, forgive, embrace, smile, dance, sing. Be happy, despite the challenges, despite the difficulties, despite the pain. Life is beautiful and deserves to be lived to the fullest. And above all, thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you who accompanied me on this journey, who listened to me, who understood me, who offered me support and affection. I am grateful to my family, to my friends, to my medical team, to my faith. You were my strength, my inspiration, my hope. I love you. And remember, you are not alone. Together, we are stronger. Keep going with courage and determination. Life is a miracle, and each of us has the power to make the world a better place. Believe.